Everybody, Steve at Benford Guitars here again. Today I thought I would show you guys how to install a set of Graphtech Ratio locking tuners in a new neck. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with the Graphtech Ratio tuners or the locking tuners, they're an awesome set of tuning machines put out within the past couple of years by Graphtech. And basically what they are is each tuning machine has its own dedicated gear ratio for each string, and so that allows really precision tuning and stability, and the same amount of turning ratio for each string. So if you turn one string a half turn, it's going to tune the same as all the other strings. So they have a consistent feel, which is great. The low E string is a 39-to-1 gear ratio, so you can get really precise with it, which I love. So let me show you what comes in the box and how you would normally install these, and we'll go from there. So in the box, obviously you're going to get your tuning machines. There's 6 of them. I'm doing a 6-in-line headstock here. You can get these in 3x3. They come in chrome, gold, and all these different stuff. The other thing you get is obviously you get the washers and the nuts to hold them on the other side, and they also come with 12 screws if you so need them, to replace the ones that if you're removing them, say, from an existing guitar. The other thing that you get is you get a pack of these Inviso-Match plates, and basically these plates are made to retrofit on a guitar that has, like, say, existing tuning machines. So say you have a vintage Gibson SG and you don't want to drill new holes to mount these tuners. You pull your existing tuner, you put this plate on and mount it with the existing screw holes, and then these ratios will just lock right into that. And then if you ever want to put the guitar back to stock, you can without damaging the guitar. And they come with, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 different varieties of tuning or Inviso-Match things for different styles of guitar. I very rarely use these unless I'm doing a retrofit for a customer, just because I'm always doing new installs and I don't need them. But I do use one of them for installing these tuners, which I'll show you, and it's the one that I'm holding here in my hand. So these 6 screws, again, I'm not going to need them, but those are great because you can, if you pull your old vintage screws out, you can save them and replace them with new screws with new threads and all that stuff. So here's the tools that we're going to need today. We're going to need a drill. We were going to need a socket of some sort or an adjustable wrench. In this case, I have a 10mm wrench. We're going to need a 7/64 drill bit, or I think that's 2.87 millimeters. Just kind of a center punch, something pointy, a square. And I have a 25/64 drill bit. And this size drill bit will change depending on your tuner size holes. Some of them need 3/8, some of them are smaller vintage size holes. The ones that I typically use are 25/64. So let's get started. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit and we'll get started putting these things in. Okay, here we go. So here's what you're going to need. Each of these tuning machines that come in the set are labeled 1 to 6, so you're obviously going to need to put the right one in the right spot when it comes time to install them, but that's not terribly important right at this second. So what we want to do is, when we install these, we want to put them in a way that, you know, all the tuning machines are parallel to each other and they're not all cattywampus. So these particular tuning machines have, let me see if I can get them in here, get in a way you can see it, a couple dimples there that need to go into the guitar, and they correspond with these 2 dimple holes in the Inviso-Match plate. So we need to drill a couple shallow holes in the guitar so these will be countersunk in there, and it keeps them from twisting left to right. So we're going to use this InvisoMatch plate to help us with that. So here's what we're going to do. What I like to do is I'll put the plate down on the guitar like that, and we're always facing them. If the headstock is orientated how I have it here, we're going to have it to the left, because that's how, when you put the tuning machines on, that's where the parts are. So then what you're going to do is you're going to take your drill bit and you put that in there, and that's going to keep that plate from sliding around. It's going to keep it centered right in the middle of that hole, which is super important. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our square, we're just going to place it on the guitar, and we're going to slide it up next to this plate. And what's going to happen is it's going to take a plate that may be cockeyed like that, straighten it right out, and now it's perfectly centered in the hole, and it's perfectly centered this way as well. So now with that held up against it like that, I'm just going to take my punch tool, and I'm just going to very carefully in the middle just make a mark. It's really not that difficult. Just got to make a mark right in the center of each of the hole, and then move it down to the next one. Boom. It couldn't be simpler. Now, if you wanted, you could probably skip this step if you had a shorter plug. Like, say if I had a drill bit that was worn out, what I might end up doing is just cutting it off and just having a little plug. Or you could use a dowel or something that matches your hole to stick in there, and then since if you cut it off real shallow, you could just go ahead and drill it right away and use these holes in the InvisoMatch as a guide. But I've never done that. I just do it like this. So away we go. I'm just going to do the last of them here, and I'll bring you back when I'm ready for the next step. Okay, there we go. So that didn't take long, maybe took me a minute at the most, and now I have 2 holes for each tuning machine, all perfectly aligned with each other. So this drill bit is just slightly oversized for what these dimples are, so that gives me a little bit of play if I just, for whatever reason, happen to get off just a tad with these, but we're probably not going to need that, that little play, but hey, it's there if you need it. So I'm using my electric drill, and just you chuck in the drill bit, and then basically what you're going to do is you're just going to go and recess these little holes for the dimples here. Now these are virtually nothing. I mean, you'll just, I couldn't even tell you how shallow these are, but there's hardly anything there. You don't need a depth stop or anything like that. Just make sure you're not putting a ton of pressure on it and blowing through the other side. But if you do that, you probably shouldn't be installing these tuners. But anyway, so, oh, I forgot. The other step that I do is after I get these dimples down, I'll go and put my tool back in there and just give it a little bit more pressure and open those dimples up a little bit. That way when if you probably saw that I was trying to put my drill bit in there and I was having trouble finding the little dimple, and that's because I forgot this step. So what this will do is it'll give the drill bit something to kind of locate on, and then you can go ahead. See, I went right to it. And it's as simple as that. These holes are really shallow. Not much, not much to them at all. So let me do the rest and bring you back for the next step. All right, simple as that. We're done. Just giving them a quick glance over, make sure I went deep enough on all of them. Looks like I did. Maybe that one needs to go a little bit more. Doesn't hurt if you go a little bit deeper than you need to. Like I said earlier, obviously you don't want to punch all the way through, but that's really difficult to do unless you're not paying attention. So, I'm just going to hit all of them again real quick. Doesn't take long. Just to double check here. Yeah, I like it. So from there, what you end up doing is now it's just time to install them. It's pretty simple. So basically, take your tuning machine, shove it in there, flip her over. You've got the included washer. Throw the washer right on there. Grab your nut, put your nut on. I like to finger tighten it down, and I'll do all of them like that. So let me do the rest, and then we'll tighten them down, and away we go. Again, you got to make sure you're putting the right one on there. They'll work otherwise, but you'll just have the wrong gear ratio for the wrong string, and not the end of the world, but spent the money on this and the whole process of, or the whole point of getting these tuners. So I've been using these for all my builds. I've probably installed, I don't know, 40 or 50 sets of these, and haven't had any issues with the functionality of them. I'm not endorsed by Graphtech, by the way. I buy them just like everybody else, and away we go. So there we have it. They're installed. So now I like these wrenches. I got this at Stuart McDonald Guitar Supply, but you can buy them at a hardware store too. They're under $10, but it's just a great tool. Goes down around the parts real nice, and you've got a good grip on the handle. You don't have a wrench that can potentially slip and scar up your headstock. This is a brand new neck that I have, and that I just got to logo it and install it on the guitar, and I'm done with this build. So don't want to scratch it at the last second. And that's it. So it's pretty straightforward if you've got a couple simple tools. I imagine you could rig up something to give yourself a straight edge, but having one of these little squares, these are really inexpensive. You can get these for under $10. I use this tool all the time for measuring or squaring up stock and measuring lines and doing all kinds of stuff. So it's worth spending the money on if you're ever going to do this. If you can do this more than once, it's definitely worth your time and your money. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a look at them and just see if anything's off. This one's over a little bit, so I like to turn them sideways here. Let's give it a little bit of a pull and pull it right in the spot, right into place. And this one's off just a tad. Yep, that's all it needed. And they're perfect. Cool. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Visit me at benfordguitars.com for any custom guitar work. I'm on Facebook and Instagram as well, if you'd like to do that sort of thing. I appreciate it, and have a great day.